I mean, seriously, I was just like super happy. And then, 10, 11 days before Boston, Alberto just misses beating Henry Rono in a 10K on the track in terrible conditions, runs 27:30. So pretty near a minute, almost 2 minutes faster than me. But I was stoked. I mean, because I'd run better than I'd ever run before, and my training had gone well. Coach had me so ready to run, and I'd gone over the course numerous times, whether it be running. I ran it all, but in bits and pieces. Went over it in the car. Coach talked to me about it, and I just, when you go into a race, there's going to be a few people that are going to have a chance to win. And I really felt that I had a chance to win that day. And I knew more than likely it was probably going to come down to beating Alberto Salazar, although you never take Bill Rogers out of the mix. And Bill ran a really wonderful race that day, ran 2:12, finished fourth on a hot day. But I felt good, and my training had gone well. But here's what got to me. I believe it was Thursday before the race. I'm at the Sheraton now in Boston. The race is a few days away. And Alberto, of course, grew up in the Boston area, and I'm watching the late news that night, and I'm laying in bed and half asleep, and they go to the Logan Airport because Alberto Salazar had just flown in from Eugene, and he was getting off the plane. And back then, of course, the media could meet you at the gate, and all the media people were there, and they're asking him all kinds of questions. And one of the questions, if I recall correctly, was, so Alberto, why did you decide to run Boston? Well, he said, I'm from the area, and also I looked at the field who was running, and I knew there was nobody that could beat me. And I remember literally sitting up in bed, and like the steam is coming up my ears. I'm thinking, okay, you are a human being, and you are beatable. I mean, that's what I said to myself, and that really kind of got me even more fired up for the race coming up on Monday.
Well, this program could go on longer than tomorrow's marathon, easily. But before we close, I'll give Bill Squires 1 minute to tell you the secret. Okay, go.
Well, I'm going to tell you a few of the things that I have done and I have tried to work into marathoning, okay? I decided, I decided that marathoning wasn't going anywhere in the 70s. It was just 400 people in the New York, Boston area, and probably about 125 or so out in California. That was marathoning, and that was about it. And most of the marathoners, believe it or not, were over 30. They were like 25 to 35. You didn't see any post-college kids. They didn't get into it. If they did, it was a little bit later. And I decided that I got to figure out something. I live in Boston. I'm going to just try and run a marathon. I'm going to just train. But I said, I was low mileage through college, low mileage in high school. That meant in high school I was doing less than probably 25 miles a week or 22 miles a week. And in college, no kidding, the same thing, but very, very quick. And my coach got me down to 21.3 in the 200, 47.4 in the 4, his speed work. He was a great half miler, quarter miler for Canada. And, but we weren't doing enough mileage, really. So I decided that I'm going to run Boston because because I was brought into the AAU office. Someone wrote in that I was accepting money as a coach, and you had to. You coached in high school, and I was getting. The trouble was, I'd taken over a team, and I won the state championship. Yeah, and then it made the paper. Former boom boom bang bang Bill Squires bing boom. And the next thing, I had to be getting money. And all those other coaches, no, they didn't run. Half of them had to buy the roller skates. They really didn't. They got the job, you know, and just go and coach. I mean, it was, the first thing was where you would teach it. Oh, and you teach in the school system? You're in. You know, there were other people around that were insurance agents or something else that would have been very, very fine people that had time off to be able to be, you know, that were former runners, but they didn't do that. Oh, no, you know. Well, what's happened now in America, I don't know, to a point. I don't want to get into that issue. Yeah. But what happened, what got me to do, you know, to get with it was this person said, this, and I was called in, and I lost my amateur standing. And I lost it for 4 years, and they finally rescinded. But I mean, in that period of time, I begged that I could run one race. And I said, and the fellow there, and there aren't enough old enough people here, but to remember. But the Champagne lady, does anyone know who that person was, Champagne lady? Okay. In the 1924 Olympics, they went over, okay, come on. Historians, quiet. On the way over on the boat, this gal that was the swimmer, her name was Holm, H-O-L-M, Eleanor. She was on the upper deck on the Olympic boat going over, and someone comes by and says, oh, Eleanor, and, oh, you have to have a sip of wine. A sip of wine, and oh, no, and then, so she took a sip of wine, and someone squealed on, oh, she took wine. So then the head of the AAU and the U.S. Olympic Committee, he decides, I want to make a name for myself. So he kicks her, well, you couldn't kick her off the ship, because she'd be a hell of a swimmer then, wouldn't she? So she got kicked off the Olympic team. And a fellow there named Billy Rose, and he was one of those, you know, theatrical guys from Broadway and the movies. He goes to Eleanor and says to Eleanor, I'm going to tell you, you've been kicked off the team. We're going back to New York City, and we're going to take a movie theater, and we're going to stick a swimming pool in it, and we're going to have you, and we're going to start a new type of a program, which they now have in the Olympics. They actually, from 1924, they copied it, and it was, and then what the heck was it? Synchronized swimming. Well, we always need a pretty girl to tell me. Okay. Synchronized swimming. So, and then from her, later on, one day I'm out on the road, and there's beautiful gal from Hollywood in the USO when I was in the service. So I was in this place, and I'm going, I'm there talking, and I started talking to Eleanor. What was her name? I'll think of her name. Esther Williams. Esther Williams. How many people here know Esther Williams? Oh, boy, she was a package job, I'll tell you. She caught Coach's eye. Oh! Well, Eleanor was a gorgeous woman, but she did a lot of USO shows and that. So I started talking about it, and she said Eleanor Holm was the one who really started synchronized swimming, and then she says that's how I got into the movies and whatever, and then it became an Olympic event. So a tragedy can turn into, into a great, great program. But with me, from that period when that person wrote that letter and wouldn't sign it, and they had taken away and gave me a chance, and I had 13 weeks before the Boston Marathon, and I trained my tail off. And I would go up on that course, and I would run up and back over the hills 3 times a week. Tuesday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, I was up there. Bang, I'd drive over, park the car, and go over the hills. I ate the hills up. I mean, it was like, I think I had grooves in them. And and then I'd park my car way the heck over in Brighton, and then, I'd warm up that way and then come back and go over the hills and that, and I'd get back about 9:45 at night. And my wife said, "You're out of your mind." I said, I'm going to finish. I'm not going to quit. And that's the last race of my life. I thought I lost my amateur standing, was done. But they rescinded. And the Germans and the Russians, they were laughing at the Americans. They all had these people getting all kinds of money, whatever. But that's how I got into marathoning. And before Joe gives me the hook, I'm going to tell you what you should be doing. Our program that we have, that I've used with all these people, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, I own their body. The other days they can do their distance on Tuesday. On Tuesday, we'd be doing speed work. Those would be up to 300, up to 300, 3/4 of a lap. 200s, 100s, 200s, 300s. Speed, speed, speed. Good warm up, and do it in sets. And bing, bing, Then on what do you call it? On Thursday, we'd be doing 400, 600, 3/4 miles. Finish with a mile in different sets. Okay? On Sunday, it was all what we'd do. We'd get to Boston College, park on their property, warm up by going down to the the heck's what's the street with the huh? Commonwealth Ave, yeah. Down to Commonwealth Ave, turn around, and then bang from there all the way, over to the 15-mile mark on the course. And then when you turned around, it was flowing fast with groups. 3 guys would lead, the other guys would learn to tow. The next guy would lead, and I would give as I'm going along, you're going for 5 minutes. You're going for 2 minutes. You're going, the groups. And they never knew what was going on. And the person, I'd go 1 minute. I mean, not 1 minute, like 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 9 minutes. We did more surges than you could ever think. On Sundays, we'd do 12 to 15 surges. That's the reason why Dickie could, if he was in this area, he'd be out of his mind. He couldn't believe what we were doing. So those are what made Greater Boston, not good, great. A system, okay? A system that was it, basically. And then we kept building on it. And every year we'd have 5 to 6 weeks, off in the summer where they could, they'd still train. But then when they'd start back in, right after Labor Day, from there on in, we'd go to cross country, we'd go, and then, indoor track. I'd throw people in doing our program. I'd throw them in there, and they'd run phenomenal times because they were always fit, but it was all a step system. And that was the Greater Boston program, and my guys, except for a few didn't, you gave them the hook. You never got it out. Now, that was the first time, that's why I'm here today. When the book of my life comes out, oh God, is that got dirty stories in there? Yeah. It's printed in black ink. But I mean, to be truthful, that's all it was. A basic program, a step system. And every 3rd week, I want you to race. Race. Not run. Race. And then I'd have them going all over the country, you know, 3 here, 2 here, and that's what developed our program. And I'd have, if you ever saw me, I had three stopwatches with 3 lanyards, you know, with, you know, red, white, and blue or something. And then bang, 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 and they were down on the track, boom, boom. I could keep, you know, everyone, how can you do this? How, you know, and I'm going boom, boom. And then I'd have someone, what they call it, an arrest watch. All right, I've given away, and please do not pass this on. All right, good enough.
Good, Bill. And there you have it, Bill, the Bill Squires system in 1 minute. But Bill is rightfully a legend, and Dick and Amby, you're terrific, and just keep on doing what you're doing. Thank you. Thank you.